Hello, listeners, and happy Halloween. Oh my God, it has been 5 weeks of spooky, horror, scary games, and I am so thrilled to give us a little bit of a bonus show. It's going to release today on Halloween itself to sort of wrap up the month of spooks and scares. And I am so thrilled to have with us this week or this Halloween, this Sunday, because we had someone a few days ago. So it's all very close, but I digress. Joining us today on Halloween is Alexis Di Stefano, the creator and developer of Madison, a first-person psychological horror game. Alexis, welcome to the show. How's it going, man?
Hello everyone, and thanks for letting me, be part of the show and in this important day of the year and for the horror fans, Halloween is.
This is this is my Christmas. This is my big holiday. This is the one day that I care about most. The whole month, really, I feel the celebration of horror. I see all the classic movies on TV. So it's a good time.
You really enjoy, the entire October month.
Right.
So it's great.
Usually, Alexis, before we start the interview proper, I throw a random opening question to the guest.
Okay.
But I think in your case, I'm going to tell you a story about my life and growing up and playing horror games. And I want you to tell me if it sounds familiar. Okay.
Let me know.
Okay. So I grew up in the, let's say, the Nintendo era of video games. And my parents didn't really like me playing a lot of games. So I had a Nintendo when I was a little kid. But for a long time, it was just one system with like 2 games. That's all I had. Until I was old enough to actually buy a PlayStation 1. So one Christmas, my brother had his first real job and he bought us a PS1 for the holidays. And it was fantastic. And we all loved it. We played like Crash Bandicoot. We played Final Fantasy VII. We played MK Mythologies, all these really fun games. And then one day he brings home a game called Resident Evil.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, cool. It's
getting interesting.
This is different. I'm not sure what kind of game this is. Played it and I loved it. And I was like, I had no idea that horror, like this kind of a horror game, like you shooting zombies, like I'm playing a Dawn of the Dead sort of game existed. Because I didn't have a PC, so I didn't have games like Alone in the Dark either when I was growing up. So I was like, you know what? You're at Blockbuster. I want you to look for any game that resembles horror and bring it home because I want to play it. He's like, deal. I will do that for you. A few days go by and he brings home a game that completely changed my worldview of how a horror video game should be. And that game was called Clock Tower.
Okay.
I put this game in the PS1 and it totally shocked me, scared me. And shooting zombies is one thing, but having a game that plays out like a classic slasher horror movie with some guy in a mask chasing you, it was such a big deal for me. I've always loved horror movies, but now I get the same exact feeling in a video game.
Yeah, you are now part of it and you can, take a role and do stuff there. No, it's crazy. And it's crazy. I didn't even know about that. So you're surprising me.
Right. So me telling you this story, does it sound like your own?
Yeah, it's almost my story. I mean, you can introduce myself and tell the audience about myself. Yeah, it happened almost the same for me. I have an older brother. He's 3 years older than me, and yeah, we grew up in a nice family. I mean, I love my mom. I love my dad. They are great people, but they are not into the horror, the blood, the knives, anything, the ghosts, spirits, nothing. So we were really young, you know. I was born in 1995, so I don't know, how old are you?
I'm 40. I was born in 82. So
Okay.
you're like a baby.
Okay, so yeah, sort of. Yeah. Well, you know, my father worked as I don't know how to say it, but he repaired PCs and consoles at that area.
Like a computer
you know?
technician kind of a
Yeah,
thing.
something like that. And he was working at a store with his friend, and sold, you know, PS1s to the people. They are a sort of store at that moment. But we didn't have one, you know. He worked there, he repaired those, but we didn't have a PS1 in my house, sorry. And it was crazy because all my friends had one, and I don't know, I used to go to my friend's house and play Tomb Raider, or as you said, Crash Bandicoot, or those style of games, you know. But no one used to have a really horror game or something that would be scary, you know, because we were really young. I mean, well, you were talking about Clock Tower series, and I mean, I don't know if I was born at the time that they created that, so it's crazy. And we were young, and you know, our fathers wanted us to play Spyro, Crash Bandicoot, you know, Barbie Explorer, I don't know, but nothing related to the horror genre. So yeah, one day it happened that my brother, who is older, had a friend that was nearby the neighborhood, and he invited us to his house, and he had a PSX, and I think his grandma bought him a bunch, you know, of I don't know, random games, randomly picked games from the store. And inside, I mean, between those games, among those games, there was the Clock Tower 2 Struggle Within, which is a sort of spin-off of the Clock Tower series. That it was out, I think, in 1998. So, I mean, I was 3 years old when the game came out. But yeah, I was playing it around, I don't know, 2000 and something. So we went there, and I mean, I have images in my head. I remember where I was sitting, where they were sitting. I remember everything, you know, because it was a moment that changed my life entirely. And it was also the first time that I was, you know, consuming something related to the horror, because as I told you, in my house, we weren't allowed to watch horror movies or anything. So it was crazy, and it was one thing in your life, you know, those things that happen in one moment and you remember them forever. So we started playing the games until we put the compact disc of the Clock Tower 2. And everything changed at that moment, because they were really scared. I mean, I didn't even know English at that time, and the game was completely in English, so it was something that we couldn't fully understand, you know. I mean, we knew about the words play, load, and save, and the simple words, but nothing of the story was fully understandable for us. So we started playing, and I remember my friend's brother, my brother's friend, I mean, that he was just covering his eyes, you know, and asking me to cover his eyes so he can move the joystick and everything. Because I don't know if it happened to you, but at that era where you're young and you have, you know, friends with PlayStation and something, it was really common for you just to watch someone play, you know. I mean, if you are the owner of the console, you are the only one allowed to play, or something like that. So we were there, but we weren't playing the game, you know. It was my brother's friend who was playing, and we both were watching him play. So he asked me to cover his eyes so he could play, but he didn't want to see anything. And my brother was trying to look somewhere else. You know, they were terrified, and I was like a baby with an emoji, you know, vomiting a sort of rainbow from my mouth. I don't know. It was crazy, and it was such a one life moment that I can't I mean, until this day, 20 years after, I still remember that day and everything from it. So yeah, after that day and this event happened, I gotta admit, I bothered this guy until the day he finally gave me his game. You know, he, how can I say it? But he gave away his game to me. He gifted.
You wanted the copy for yourself.
Yeah, I wanted him to give me the game because I knew he wouldn't play it. So yeah, I wanted, and he finally gifted it to me, and I started playing the game with my friends alone at night. I also remember me setting up an alarm to get up early to play that game. So it's crazy,
Oh
you know.
my god!
And I was really young, and I mean. Yeah, it was crazy.
That's
I mean,
incredible.
it took me months to even complete the game.
Well, that game.
Yeah, and after that, yeah.
I was gonna say that game, even when you speak English, it's hard to understand what to do sometimes. It's vague
really hard.
puzzles.
Yeah.
I think I struggled
it's
for a long time
vague,
to even get past the first chapter when I was younger.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sort of in love with the first chapter. The game has 3 chapters, but the first chapter is the one who really inspired me, you know, to be right now who I am and do what I'm doing. But I did enjoy the last chapters, you know. But I mean, the main chapter that is really inspiring and brought me into this world was the first one inside the house, and everything that happened there. But after playing that game, that, as I was telling you, it took me around a year to finally complete, you know, the game. Because I don't know if you remember, but Clock Tower series has you have the A ending, the B ending. So maybe you were playing
a lot of endings in those games, like at least 12 endings in some of those titles.
Yeah, it was crazy, you know. So maybe you were playing, I don't know, 5 weeks. Entirely 5 weeks the game, and then you haven't, I don't know, the ending D that was even in the first chapter, so you can't even go through the second, the third chapter. It was crazy. So yeah, it took me around a year to finally, you know, say, okay, I finished the game, I completed it. But I do remember that after getting used to the genre and everything, I started playing, I don't know, Resident Evil, Silent Hill, Alone in the Dark, Fatal Frame, everything. I mean, my father worked at that store, so I remember telling him, hey, please bring me this one, because at that time you didn't even have internet. So I mean, it was a kind of a sort of a blind decision, you know, to buy something, because you couldn't even imagine what was it about.
Right. And it's like, if it looks a little like a horror movie or a horror game, you want it. Like, you don't know about quality or reviews or whatever at that point. It's
everything.
You're trusting it to maybe be a good game.
Yeah. And always from the cover, you know, because you don't have anything else. And yeah, it was crazy. I mean, I started playing those games. By the way, something I didn't tell you is that I finally got my own PSX, I don't know, a few months after going to this neighbor's house. Because, yeah, I mean, I think my father was just crazy, you know, because we, well, my brother and I think we started to asking him for a PSX, kind of that Simpsons episode where they want to go to the, you know, I don't know how
they were begging to go somewhere.
Yeah, I don't remember where, but
my
they are
God,
begging
yes.
and begging.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, so you understand what I mean. Well, we were the same, but for the PSX, and finally we got one. They bought me one for my birthday. I don't remember which one, but after that, you know, my life changed, and I can be, you know, who I am right now.
So
yeah, it was crazy.
That sort of put you on the path to where you are today.
It's crazy to know that you had a sort of similar.
I was
super
just
similar.
You know, like I said before we started to record the episode, I don't do a lot of research on guests. I sort of go in sort of blind. I know vague things about them, you know, but I did a Google search on an interview you did like 3 years ago, and I was reading your whole thing about Clock Tower, and I was like, this sounds like my life.
Like me, yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy, but I really liked what you said about Clock Tower. I think it's something similar, but at the same time so different from that survival horror that we are used to in terms of Silent Hill, I don't know, Resident Evil, Fatal Frame, and there were a few more at that era. I don't know, Galerians. I don't know if you remember about that
Galerians.
game.
Oh my god. That was when I just had watched Akira for the first time. I was like, is there a game like this? Oh yeah, it's Galerians. It's like Resident Evil with psychic powers. You can set people on fire. I'm like, that sounds great. I want it.
Yeah. Do you remember that game was I think 3 compacts at the same time?
It was 3 discs.
You had you had to change the as you played. It was crazy.
By the time you got
and really expensive
with 1 disc, it was like, all right,
yeah,
time to put it. It had so many cutscenes. That's where all the data went in that game. But still a great. That's a great. I miss that franchise. I had a PS2 sequel, I think, that wasn't that great, but
I didn't know about that. I think I thought it was just the first one, and
there's a part 2, which it's not
I'll check that out.
The greatest, it hasn't aged well, I would imagine, at this point, but I would check it out. So, Madison, the first thing I really want to ask you about this game is, what is up with the spelling of the title?
Wow, that's that's an interesting question, and you know,
there's got to be a story there. I'm curious.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I hate when I see someone, you know, playing the demo and they upload the title of the, you know, the playthrough or whatever they upload to the internet, and it says Madison with just the M in capital and everything normal. I'm like, hey, that's not my title. I mean, that's not my game. And no, it's crazy, and it has I mean, it has a story behind. It's not just the character name, you know, because there in the game you have the main antagonist is called Madison Hale, so you also, I mean, you will get used to that word inside the game's world, but that's not the main point of the word. And it's Madison, and it has to be, and I can't spoil that much, but you may already know, you know, about what's happening.
All right.
But and something I'd like to add, just because I know you played Clock Tower 2, The Struggle Within, because no one plays that game, and so it happened to me that I'm always, you know, someone asks for my inspirations, and I'm not used to finding you know, people that have played that game, because it wasn't that popular, and also the reviews weren't that good, so you couldn't find but something I'd like to add is that, for example, I was telling you about the name of the main antagonist, that is Madison Hale, and Hale, the, you know, the last name of her comes from that game, you know. I don't know if you remember about the
Alessa Hale, I think is her.
Yes.
Is there a Mr. Bates in your game too?
No, it's not. But then you have the main protagonist is called Luca, and his surname or last name is Maxwell. That comes also from that. So it's a sort of Easter egg. No, it's really
getting those references in there.
They are references, you know, that I'm not ripping off the game, I'm not copying anything, but I really wanted to, you know, to
little winks, you know, here and there.
Sort of little winks, because I mean, I'm here right now because I played that game, you know. So maybe I don't know, maybe I was working on something else if I didn't, you know, play that game that day with my neighbor. So I really wanted to make sure I'm, you know, giving it its credit. So I wanted to make that little wink there.
So where did this game come from? I mean, I can imagine, like myself, when you play a lot of horror games or watch a lot of horror media, you imagine what your own horror story would look like. So where did this idea for Madison come from?
Well, long story short, I think after playing that game, I was still young, and I still played with toys, you know, at that time. And I have a sister that is a year younger than me, and she used to have a giant, but when I say giant, it's giant. Trust me, it was a giant Barbie house, with everything. I mean, cups. I can't even say beds, wardrobes. The house was fully, but you have everything. I mean, you could, if you can, I mean, it was really with everything that you need to live.
Right.
So with that house, I used to play with her, and I mean, something I didn't tell you is that she also enjoyed that game, even though she didn't play it by herself because she was really scared. She always watched me play and everything. So when we were playing with the toys and everything, we sort of made our own houses with the Barbie doll things, and with I don't know if you remember, inside Clock Tower 2 you had a toilet with a leg there, and then you have a desk with an arm and everything,
Right.
okay, so we used to dismember our toys and made those things, and no, yeah, it was really, I mean,
so crazy.
maybe if my mother saw us doing that, she was like, okay, we were right. they didn't have to play those games.
My
but
kids need therapy.
Yeah. Yeah. And it all started there, because when you play the game, you have the story and you can change everything. But when you made up your own stories, with the toys, things and everything, it's kind of, I started, creating stuff there. I mean, it wasn't great games or anything, but it was just for fun for us. Right. So since that day, I think I wanted to be part of that, to be part of the creation process of those things. And as soon as I was growing up, I started to watch horror movies. But I mean, until this day, maybe I can watch a few movies that are not from the horror genre, but I'm fully interested in the horror. And even if it's great or not, I still watch it. And I don't know, maybe, for example, you have the Harry Potter franchise and everything, and I wasn't that interested in, to that. I do remember my friends were fans and everything, and I was like, okay, no, I prefer the Saw franchise, So it's kind of,
yes,
I was the black sheep, if you get what I mean.
Right.
But yeah, I started to grow up, and with my best friend that was from my age, from the school and everything, we started to go through the consoles, because as we were growing up, the PSX was old, and then you have the PS2, and we started playing Haunting Ground, which is one of my favorite games until this day. And I don't know, Rule of Rose, Fatal Frame, Resident Evil, and we played each survival horror game that came out. And as soon as we were growing up and we had to decide what to do with our lives, because we were ending the school, and we had to decide to which college go to and what to do and everything. And it was a sort of coincidence, but one day I went to the center of here, Buenos Aires, which is a sort of downtown of the province I'm in. It's not nearby where I live, but I don't really remember why we were there that day. And we saw a sign from an institute that they were teaching sort of technology careers and sort of that. And then we went back to our house, and I Googled them, and I found out that they were teaching video games, programming, and design. Okay, so I was really interested. I was at my last year of school, and I had to decide what to do the next year, So I started to talk with my best friend, hey, let's go there together, and blah, blah, blah. And I finally went there without my best friend, because he didn't go there. But I started, my professional career there, studying video games, programming, design. It was a 3-year career, and you had, that degree that is programming and design. And yeah, it's crazy, because as I told you before, I was the black sheep. I mean, the horror is not that popular, even though we think it is, but it's not.
Right.
And we were, I don't know, 60 people, and maybe the others, I don't know, maybe 50 from the 60 people didn't even know about the games I used to play all my life. So it was crazy. But they were playing, I don't know, League of Legends, Assassin's Creed, and those type
basic
of games
shit,
that,
basically.
yeah. I really don't like those games. I mean, I haven't even played those.
Mhm.
But it was crazy because it happened to me that, luckily, if I have to say, I grew up with my mates from school playing, horror games. So I thought it was normal. I thought a lot of people played horror games, and well, maybe there where you live, it was normal, but here in Argentina, it wasn't.
Mhm.
So when I was at college studying this career, it was crazy because no one even liked horror and anything. And as I told you, the career is 3 years long, and during the first 2 years, you have to do, little games. I'm seeing you have at your back the Meat Boy.
Oh
Mago,
yeah, just hanging out. Yeah,
yeah, and
like
I
little,
mean,
like
you
little
had
prototypes.
yeah, like that, some sort of jump, run, walk, I don't know, aim, shoot,
Right.
drive. So I didn't even have the chance, to start at least a prototype or something super simple, but related to the horror. That was why I was there, because I went there to create horror games. And I think I have been always focused on that, because I mean, even though I really liked all the horror style and everything, I started studying programming design of video games because I wanted to create a horror game, not because I wanted just to be part of the industry. And even though I don't like the game, I still want to be part of that. So I was completely sure that I wanted to create horror games.
That's amazing.
Luckily at the yeah it's I really enjoy talking about this and explaining why and what happened in my life. Unfortunately, I'm not that great at English, so maybe
No,
something is
stop
not
it.
that
No.
well explained, but
I will not hear any of
okay.
that,
So
sir.
okay, so at the final year, things changed. It was, I think, 2015 or 16. No, I'd say 16. It was 16. It was 2016. And you have to finish your career, and you have to do the thesis, or I don't know how you say it.
Yeah, thesis. Yeah, you got it. You got it.
Okay,
See,
thesis. Great. So
totally
you
fine.
had to great. You had to work on that for the entire year. All the entire year long, you have to work on the thesis and create something that unique and what you like. And it was completely genre free, so you could decide what you wanted to do. And at that time, I was like, yes, the time came.
This
it's
is
finally
the time for me.
Yeah, this is the time for me.
I'm gonna stop making shoot 'em ups and side scrollers.
And
I can go into horror.
Also it is crazy, but if I show you my previous games or what I created during the first 2 years, you would see super cute gummies, and that it's completely the opposite to what I'm doing now, because I'm now doing, I don't know, dismembered bodies,
Yeah, because you spend so much time making cute things and you're holding back all the horror inside
all
of
the
you.
horror, so it came out.
It just blew up into
once.
what Madison is. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, and well, so it was December, and on March we would had to start with the thesis and everything. So I spent those free, because here in Argentina you end the year in December, and then you start again on March in terms of the education. So when I was on holiday, it wasn't holidays for me. I mean, I was working on a concept, ideas. I remember that's something that really helped me and changed my way of seeing things and working, is to have a chalkboard. If I don't know if it's called like that. But I started to write down things and then connect things and everything. And then I also remember that I had a tiny notebook that I used to write ideas, whatever came to my mind. For example, I don't know, a glass that turned into blood. I don't know, anything that would cross my mind, I would write it down and blah blah blah. And when it was time to go back to the institute and start talking with your teachers about what are you going to do during the year,
Right.
it was sort of an exposition, because I already had something to work on, and it was crazy because they were fascinated, because at that time I did also created a sort of environment for the game. So I was testing out my skills, if I was able to create something realistic inside Unity,
Yeah.
which is the engine we are working with, and everything. And it was a different story, because you can maybe you have in your mind that you want to create a horror game and you want that and blah blah blah, but something different is to be able to notice that you are capable of doing so. So those months that I was working on my own, trying to know if I was capable of creating something and not just the ideas behind it. And when the time came and I showed to my teachers and my fellow classmates and everything, it was I already had something, so I could start from there, and it wasn't just spending the 2 first months of the year trying to create an idea or something. So I think that was something that helped me to carry out that year and to make more things that maybe others would not be doing, because they were trying to create something. And yeah, that I do remember the game was called Madison too at that time, and it is crazy because it's still the same concept, the same idea, but the game, which is going to be released soon, is, I mean, it's light years from that, because it's even if it's the same concept, the same camera mechanics and everything, it's have been enhanced and improved and everything, that it's crazy to look back and see what I had at that time.
You've had years to like refine your skills and get better at like your modeling, your asset building, stuff like that.
And the crazy thing is that at that time maybe you believe that it was just the top. Okay, you can't go any further because you have something spectacular. And then if I go back and see what I had at that time, it was like, oh, okay, it was really this, because it's not that great, but no, it was crazy. And during that year I started working with a classmate who programmed for that game at that time, working on Madison. So it was already called Madison. It was already the same concept, the same idea, but something that is really curious and I really like to share with people is that the first prototype, which was created during that year, is not the game that I'm going to be releasing soon, It is a sequel to this game that I'm releasing at the moment. Yeah, it's crazy, but
that's really neat.
Madison, yeah, it's crazy because I mean, I created a really big story. It's huge. It's full of characters. It's full of events and everything. And after finishing my career, and when I realized, okay, this is serious, I need to continue with this and everything. I sat down for a moment and said, hey, okay, no, I don't want to start, explaining or I want players to start the story, but not at this point where was the prototype at that time, because as I told you, it's sort of a sequel to the game that is going to be released right now. So I said, okay, no, I'm gonna be starting the story from the past. Okay, if you get what I mean. So I started working on the game that is going to be released soon, and it's sort of the previous events to go through that prototype that I was building at that moment.
So what is the basic setup for Madison when we're playing the game for the first time? What's going on in this house?
Okay,
give us like the basics of this setup for the story.
So as
without
I
giving
told
away
you,
too much, of course.
Yeah, I know. You play as Luca Maxwell, which is who is a young boy. He is 16 years old, and you wake up locked in a dark room, covered in blood. I mean, you have a door with blood. The floor is covered with blood, and there's
Wow.
blood everywhere. So you wake up with a strong headache, and you are sort of dizzy at that moment, and you don't know really what's happening. And when you get up from the floor that you were laying on, you start noticing that you are locked, trapped in that room that is inside your house, your own house, and you have your father on the other side of the room, outside the door, I mean, next to the door, sort of screaming and shouting and yelling at you and asking you why did you did those things.
Oh my God.
So everything starts there with that scene, that it's also crazy to see the reactions of the players, because, you know, maybe we are used to starting the game, I don't know, just walking and blah blah blah. So the game starts, you know, heavy, if you get what I mean.
Yeah, you have like that inciting moment right from the get-go.
Yeah.
Of
Yeah. So you're not you know, chilling, and then shit happens, you know, you are just in the moment that everything is
you're
happening.
In the shit basically when the game starts.
You're basically in the shit, yes. So you have your father yelling and shouting and screaming and crying, you know, and fully crying and asking why did you did those things. And so you don't really understand what's happening. And what I can tell you is that you find a metallic box where you're laying, you know, on the floor. So you can grab it and open it, and then there you find two innocent pictures. One is an arm and the other one is a leg. Okay.
Oh my God.
So yes, you start with that object in your property.
The clock tower doesn't end. So I got arms and legs now in the pictures.
It's just the beginning of everything. Yeah. So what you have to do there is try to escape, try to understand what's happening. So you sort of manage to get out from that room, not going through where your father is, you know, with another exit of that room, and then you escape. And you go to your grandparents' house, which is a sort of connection that you have within your house. Here in Argentina, I have, you know, my main house. I mean, where I used to live, with my family, and we have our backyard connected with my grandparents' backyard. So I just wanted, you know, to recreate something like that. So you don't have a backyard that is connected to the other backyard, but in Madison you have the houses connected, you know,
right?
And you have a hallway that connects one house to the others. But as his grandparents has already died, you know, then they are not living, and so that hallway that was connecting both houses is almost locked up, if you get what I mean. It's blocked. It's blocked.
Right.
So you have to, you know, take some planks off to make through it and everything. So when you cross, you know, that hallway and you get to your grandparents' house is where the point where the game really starts, you know, and then the story starts to.
I love that setup. It reminds me
of what?
A little bit of games like Silent Hill 4, and later when we got PT, the idea of someplace like your home that should be safe and secure, where no harm can happen to you. Yeah, it totally isn't.
Yes. Yeah. I really see that connection, you know, because something I was really sure, or something I really had in my mind when working on the idea and creating and the entire process of the game, is to make sure that we are not simply afraid of things that we are not used to in real life, if you get what I mean. I really want to make sure that, because I do remember when I played Clock Tower 2, going back to that topic. For example, I don't know if you remember, but you had a bathtub that was covered in a strange liquid, and there was a torso there. So I remember I was really young and I was afraid to go to my own bathroom, you know.
Wow.
At that time. So I just wanted, you know, to grab the feelings from inside of me and pour them into this creation, you know. So I really wanted to make sure that the things that are in your real life and your real house can also be scary. So that's where the idea comes from, you know. So even though you have paranormal things happening and you have different environments, that not every environment from the game is sort of real. I mean, they are not all of them possible inside the human world.
Right, of course.
But mainly I wanted to, you know, to make sure I can bring back that feeling of repression and atmospheric fear from inside an own house that can be yours or mine, you know. So
yeah,
that
it's
was the sort of concept I really wanted to
right.
grab and to, yeah.
Because we can all connect with that feeling of sometimes being in your own house and feeling a little, if you're alone,
Yes.
especially like uneasy about just you hear a creak at the window or strange sound from somewhere. It's like, what's going on? Who's there?
Yeah, and then we don't know. But I really know that maybe when we watch horror movies or play video games, it's really common to make you go to something that you don't really know. For example, I don't know, but you go to an abandoned school or an abandoned hospital, and those are places that you are not used to be in, you know. So when creating Madison, I really wanted to make sure that you would be afraid of the places that you are used to being, you know.
That's so cool.
So
that's like the perfect elevator pitch for the game.
Okay. Great.
That one line alone sells it for me completely.
Okay.
So you mentioned about the paranormal environment.
Yes.
Things like this. So, and you mentioned the pictures or the Polaroids, as you refer to them here as sometimes, and that the camera can bridge the human world and the sort of beyond.
Exactly. Yes.
How does that gameplay mechanic translate in Madison? How does that look like for us?
Well, you know that, yeah, when people ask me about this, they are always trying to know if it's something like Fatal Frame. I had also with press, you know, I saw articles saying Fatal Frame in 2000 and no, I don't even remember, but you know, the titles of the articles and everything were like, you know, the Fatal Frame came back or something like that.
Right,
and,
right.
And it's like,
comparing your game to
okay,
Frame,
yeah,
essentially.
But I really would like to say that no. I mean, I really enjoyed Fatal Frame and I really liked. I haven't played the one that came out a few days back, but
the remaster.
Yeah, something like that. The Maiden of Blackwater.
Blackwater.
I don't remember.
It's okay, good. But it's a little clunky, but good.
Okay, I tried out someday. Yeah, and well, I when creating Madison and the idea before having a prototype and everything, I wanted to make sure I had something, you know, unique and something that wasn't already seen in the industry and the horror, you know, games. And I do know that I haven't created the photographs and the cameras, but the main concept of the game is pretty unique. And I'm sure when you will play the game and when everyone will play the game, they will see why it's so unique, you know, because we are not used to seeing that inside the game. I always tell everyone, and when they ask me, that the game is not an easy task to explain, you know, to what the game is about or how is the mechanic doing inside the game, you know, because it's or at least maybe if I have to explain and people ask me what about the genre of the game, I can't really say the game it's only psychological horror game, because it's
puzzle elements in there too.
Yeah, and then you have the survival also. So it's, you know, it's a mix of everything I really enjoyed in my entire life from the day I started playing horror games. So yeah, you have a camera that has a complete backstory. I can already tell you something about the camera because we have a demo out, and if you play the demo, you will understand. But
yes,
the camera belonged to a woman who is called or was called Madison Hale. This woman was a serial killer, and she was killed by a police officer while carrying out, some events, strange events in the past.
Right.
So she didn't have family or anything, so all her things started to being sailed by the police officers and everything. And 30 years after the massacre happened, this man called Sean Maxwell, the protagonist's father, buys him the camera from that serial killer and gives it to Luca for his 16th birthday.
Oh my God.
So everything happens and starts there, That's kind of
God. It's like
the initial point.
This could have been like a huge horror film franchise.
It can. I mean,
it feels like, or even like this is like Insidious, Sinister type shit. Like a James Wan movie setup.
Yeah, it is. It can be. I mean, I know I created it, and when you create something, you always think that it's not that great. I mean, or maybe you saw.
No,
you see
it's also what
others.
you do with it as well.
Yeah,
like you can have ideas.
I completely agree.
Ideas that have been done before, but like, what do you bring to the table with that idea?
Is what matters. Yeah.
Yeah. Like you're saying, you have a camera, and folks would say, "Oh, is it fatal frame?" No, I'm not pointing and shooting at ghosts and causing damage on them in my game.
yeah, it's exactly almost the opposite, because you're bringing the death when you use the camera, so it's almost the opposite. Yeah, so the plot comes from there. You have the main story, which is the one that is actually happening at the moment, that you are escaping your own house and going to your grandpa's house, and then you have the backstory of the game and everything, and the camera, what happened, what is happening, what is going on, and then you realize that you find the camera, it is your own present, and then you start to receive some data from the TV and the game itself, and you are understanding that camera belongs to a serial killer that killed 4 people 30 years ago. So it's not that simple. And yeah, as you told, the camera and the shootings are a sort of connection between the real world, the human world, and the beyond. So it's a sort of conduct that this demonic possession, which is called Madison, which is the main antagonist,
right,
is using, to come back to the real world and finish, the things.
So good.
She still has.
So damn good.
In his mind. Yeah.
Thank you. So, what does it feel like for you? Like, could you imagine telling 5-year-old you that one day we're gonna make our very own horror video game?
I mean, 5 years ago I was creating that old prototype, but I think things escalated, or the scale of the things. I mean, I was creating a little prototype. I had the same direction, the same story, the same everything, but the prototype was simple. I mean, something I had in my mind at that time is, I'm a one person, I have a tiny studio, I have just one programmer. I can't create a Resident Evil,
No, so, you see, you say that, but Alexis, your game looks so polished.
Thank you.
If you watch the trailer for this game and you put it up against a Resident Evil 7 or like an Amnesia type or a Soma game, that level of passion is there, and it looks like a big budget project in a lot of ways.
Thank you. No, I really get what you say, and I won't say I didn't know that, because I always wanted to make sure that the game is as polished as possible. I always tell my friends and everyone that 5 years ago, when I was studying at college and everything, I would be happy if I've ever created a chair that would be featured, in a Resident Evil game. And 5 years after that, creating a simple chair or any asset, But 5 years after that, being able to create an entire whole game, an entire game that can be purchased in the same store that is Resident Evil is mind-blowing, I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's absolutely nuts how far you've come along with this project. Just recently you were doing an event in Sweden. You were telling me before we started recording, you were showing the game around for some charity event. What is it like for you when you see people playing your game and being genuinely terrified by what they're playing?
Well, it's the nicest feeling you've ever feel in your life. I mean, it's crazy, because I spend so much time sitting on this chair, coding and creating and designing and everything. So when I finally get to play by myself what I created, it's not, that scary, because I know every little piece of it. I know how it works. So it's, that it's not scary for me at all. So maybe sometimes I'm not sure if I'm doing things great, and if that scene, exactly, some asset or anything is good enough. And when you see others playing the game, it's a sort of payoff, and you know that what you did was great, and it's a really great feeling, because it's that time when you know that you did great, if you get what I mean. It's
right. Like, it's not just in your own head. Like, you have an idea.
Maybe I can say, okay, this is the best game ever created, But then if you
not that, it's just like,
no,
yeah, go on.
No, but I mean, maybe you can think, oh, that's the best idea ever, and then you go to another person and test it out, and then they say, hey, it's the same, it's not that scary or anything. But when you create something and you polish it that much and you work really hard, and then you go and see someone playing and that they are really enjoying, and they are really terrified, which is the best and the most important part of the game. So I'm speechless. I can't even say what I think about this.
I think for horror especially, because when you think about game design, the core philosophy is what I'm doing in some way fun. I think most games have to have that as like, there are some exceptions to that, of course, that fun doesn't have to be part of the core, like a Death Stranding. Exactly. I wouldn't call Death Stranding fun while I'm playing it, but I still love that game to pieces.
Yeah.
But for horror, you have to say, go on,
we really worked. I launched a demo in 2017, and the demo was played by huge amount of people, famous YouTubers, Twitch streamers, and everyone played that demo. And after that demo came out, a lot of indie horror games started to implement the same mechanics that I've been created for the last years. So after that happened, it was a huge hit for me, because it was like, oh, I mean, in the negative way, because I don't know if hit is in the positive way, but I'm saying in the negative way, because I've been working on this idea for, I don't know, at that moment, maybe 3 years. And then everyone is implementing the idea I was creating, by my own hands. And even though it was really sort of depressing moment of my life where because, the game wasn't ready to be sold at that time. So
you were just showing it off to people at that point.
Yeah, that was right. And if you get to know that many other games are selling their games and they are implementing your mechanics, if they all sell the game right now, and then I come a year later selling the game with the exact same mechanics that they are using at that moment, it's like I'm not bringing anything new.
It's been done already. Someone's already done it in the time you've taken to polish your game, essentially.
Exactly. So during that period, that, as I told you, it was really depressing and everything, I sort of redesigned everything, even though I didn't change, the plot, the story, the characters, the mechanic, because you still use the camera and everything. But I made sure that it will still stand by from the others, and it will still be unique and feel fresh. and more dynamic, because the other mechanics that we were using at that day weren't that fun to play, and that's why I'm telling you about this.
Right. But I think
We had the mechanic where you used to take pictures, and then kind of the game pauses, and then you have to watch to see the picture, shake it, and blah blah blah. So you really knew that when you take a picture, nothing will happen, nothing will pop up, nothing will do exactly, because the game is paused and you're watching just a picture inside your monitor. So I really wanted to make sure that the game will be super dynamic. So now we have a really interesting and fun gameplay where you can run, because you have many horror games that you walk too slow, you can't even run and everything. So no, I wanted to make sure that you and Madison will be able to run, you will be able to take pictures while you run, while you walk, you can shake the pictures while you walk, while you run. So it's quick, it's a quick sort of gameplay. You are not always we are not giving the player pauses where he just or he or she just needs to stand by and watch something happens. So we really wanted to make sure that the game is the most dynamic and fun as it can be. So I'm really proud of what we have achieved in terms of that thing of the gameplay.
Right. And to your earlier point, it might be a little disheartening seeing someone else come in and saying, you know what, this demo has some really good ideas, I'm going to take them and use them for my own project.
No, it's
at least in your own mind that your ideas were good enough that someone thought, I want to copy this because it's so it's so good.
It was the great thing, or the great side at that time when that happened, because I mean, as you say, if they are all copying it, it's because it was a hit for the internet. Everything wanted to take pictures and blah blah blah. So yeah, but it was hard. It was really hard for me because, as I told you, I'm super indie. I'm working in my own house. I don't have a studio. I don't have budget. So being and seeing by your own eyes that everyone is stealing your idea. And also something that I wanted to point out is that not all the ones that stole the idea were unknown people for me, if you get what I mean. The indie community, you might talk with the others. For example, I was talking with you about Alisa, that game, and I know the developer, and we had a good relationship, and same happens with some other indies developers. And yeah, I had a sort of friend, an internet friend, if you get what I mean, inside the community that also stole that idea. And I do remember talking to him about, wow, everyone is stealing my idea, what can I do, and then a year later he implements the idea with his game that wasn't even related. No, it is crazy. So
it's bad enough that people could look at your game and say, oh, it's just like a PT clone. That's all it really is. And then you try to bring some new ideas, so it's not just that. And then someone else is like, well, those new ideas you're bringing to the table, I'm going to take those and
take them too. Yeah. No, it's really, it's sad. It's sad.
Yeah.
Because then you have that thing that we all know, that the indie community cannot stand by themselves because they don't earn enough and everything. But then you have these things. I mean, anyone, well, not everyone, but I mean, most of them are not even trying to make something unique or something from their own.
They want to make a quick dollar.
Yeah, exactly. So it's hard,
Yeah.
I mean, I've been working on this game for more than 5 years now.
Yeah, and especially with horror, because you gotta think about, is my game fun and is my game scary? Like, is it going to be an effective horror game?
Yeah, it's not that easy. I don't know if you watched the clips I uploaded yesterday to the Twitter account, but one of the players was stating that the horror genre is beyond that scare jump, that pop-ups, and you get scared. And so it is good to know that these years of hard work are being paid off, because that feeling that I wanted to transmit to the players is kind of functioning, and the players are getting it. So it's great, to be on the other side and see that everything is working right and
What is
correctly.
what is your core philosophy when it comes to designing horror? Because you mentioned like things like jump scares, which I think I detest jump scares a lot. I mean, I like them once in a while in the horror movie, but some of them rely too much on like the big sound, the big pop out moment. What is your thinking
Yes.
when you design a segment
Well,
that is supposed
yeah.
to terrify someone? How do you go about building that tension in
Well,
those moments?
as I told you before, I'm a really fan of the genre. So
Mhm.
when I design something, I always come to that point when you say, okay, would I play this? Would I like this?
Mhm.
And I know that the best part of the movies, or I mean the segment I enjoy the most, is when you have that dead time. I don't know if it has a title,
Mhm.
but when some tension builds up in a movie or in a game, you have a sort of dead time that you know that something will happen.
Right. That
So
like
in Madison,
suspense. Mhm.
yeah, exactly. And in Madison, I play a lot with that time.
Mm.
I really like that, and
Mm. That's
it's
good.
not that common to see that in horror games, because you have that moments when you play and blah, boom, something happens,
Mhm.
and then you have a ghost face screaming and everything. And in Madison, what you have a lot, or at least many times, is that dead time, as I called it, when you have to wait,
It's
and
an
that is
appropriate name, by the way. Dead time.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And it's the worst and the best feeling at the
Hmm.
same time,
Yeah.
and I really like that. And also, I in the beta that the guys on Sweden played the other day, we had we have a moment in the game. I mean, two times in that beta, where they have that time that they are just asking themselves, okay, what I do now, and
Hmm.
they have to wait, sort of wait, and that waiting game is what is the worst and the best at the same time. So
Yeah.
I really like that, and I really relay on
It's
that,
good.
for making the tension
Hmm.
uh, in the game.
Yeah.
But yeah,
It's
I wouldn't say that the game does not have jump scares, because
oh
we do,
yeah. Of course, you need
and
some.
I really enjoy them. And but the game has something that is, well, I was telling you, it's hard for me to explain the game, not even
Hmm.
because we're speaking in English, uh, if not because the game is not just one genre. As I was telling you, you
Hmm.
have your psychological, but you have your survival and
Hmm.
puzzles and everything. So the game has a sort of progression as you play,
Hmm.
and it starts from something, and then it switches to another thing, and then
Mm.
it goes like a snowball, if you get what I mean. it's
Yes.
it's
Yes.
sort
Yes.
of changing as you play.
Gets out of
So
control.
exactly. So at the moment I was giving away this beta and everything, I was like, okay, I don't want people to think that the game will be this way the
Hmm.
entire game, because it's not. And
Mm.
I can really tell you that when this beta ends, the game completely changed upside
Oh my
down.
god,
and
you're
and
killing
it's
me.
crazy, no, but it's really interesting and crazy at the same time, because if you get and you send someone a beta, I mean, for example, in this event, they lasted around 7 hours to complete this. I mean, they have different segments and everything, but this beta is not that short. So if you play 2 hours, 3 hours of it, and then you know that you have another segment, you will think, okay, yeah, the game, it's great, blah blah blah, but it will still be that way, if you get what I mean. And then if you continue playing the game, I'm really, I mean, you will know when you play the game, but it really changed as soon as the beta ends. It is upside down, and
This
everything
has
that
to
you
get
knew about the
delayed,
game.
Alexis. You have to delay the game.
Yeah, yeah, no,
I
no,
want this game right now. But
it's,
that's really great.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like you were saying before, jump scares, I think if you don't use it as a crutch to scare your audience, if you know exactly when to place them in your pacing, they can be highly effective. But
Yes.
you seem to understand what real horror is about.
Thanks.
And
That's great to hear, because you're not my mom. I mean, you are a horror fan, so it's great
yeah,
to
it's
know
tough.
that.
It's tough because I feel like I watch a lot of horror media, and it's when you watch so much for so long, it takes a very special thing to kind of get under your skin. And it's an understanding of the person who made this media knows exactly what to do to bother someone like me that has a hardened exterior to all things scary. But every now and then, like a film like Hereditary comes through, and it gets underneath you, and you have that grasp, I feel, of what it
Great.
takes.
Something I was about to say is that
Yes.
in Madison, I always talk about this with my QA, that I don't know how to explain it really well, but hope you can understand.
Okay, we'll give it a shot.
We have, I mean, the game is super random. I really wanted to make sure that you won't Google the password to the padlock, or the password to, or everything.
Yeah.
So I
Maybe
mean,
in Resident Evil I'll do that. Like I don't have time to look for like a safe code.
okay,
Just give it to me.
yeah.
But in a game like this, I won't do it. I promise.
But okay, what we do here is sort of mechanism where each playthrough will be different in that sense, you know.
Oh wow.
So
Okay.
for example, if you have a I don't know, an antagonist which is chasing you and that stuff, we don't have a set of things that will be happening one after another, or something like that. So the thing that I always talk with my QA is that we really get scared of playing the game. I mean, I know I created, and as I was telling you, I know everything about the game, so it's not that easy for me to be scared inside the game, playing the game. But we have really those moments where everything is unexpected, and even though I created and I coded with my programmer and everything, it's not that easy to suspect that something is happening. Yeah, it's super unpredictable. So we have those moments that we are, I don't know, testing something out, and I don't know, we're testing a lighter that we have in the game, blah blah blah, and then something happens, and then you get scared. But those scares that, well, you will understand, because we love horror media and something, but when you get scared, and honestly you get scared, it is something that you say, okay, that's crazy, because you don't expect to be scared by your own game.
Well,
so
thankfully we don't gotta wait too long. January is around the corner.
No, it's really, yeah. I mean, we have a Twitter user is sort of creating a countdown for the release of the game, and I'm really scared because we have only 2 months to launch a game, and I mean,
you promised the date now. There's a physical, real date. It's on your Steam page. It exists. It's real.
It is. So it's real, and I'm really scared.
No,
the scares of the game.
You could just blame COVID. Be like, oh, we can't. We need like another year.
Some the COVID was really hard for me. I lost my grandfather, which is
so
the grand. Yeah, it was really hard, and I mean, I can speak about this, and I don't have any problem at all. That's why I'm bringing this topic to the conversation. But it was really hard because here in Argentina, the people is not that conscious about the topic and everything. Really? And I really had my friends who were dating and meeting and everything, and then
like it was all normal in the world.
Yeah, it was really normal, and it wasn't, and then we got infected. I don't know how, but yeah, my mom was at the hospital. My dad couldn't even get up from his bed.
Oh my God.
We had our both grandparents infected as well. My grandparents, my grandfather was really bad, and he then he died because of this. So it was really crazy, and that's why I was saying this. But I didn't want to delay the game, because of this, because
Right.
I really think I have this I don't know how to say it in English, but the sort of connection with the audience, and I really know that there are people that are really expecting the game to come out and everything. So I really want to make sure that I'm as transparent as possible and trying
Good.
to launch the game as I can.
You know what?
So
Listen, no one wants you to rush the game, because a rush game could be a shitty game.
no,
Let's put that out there first. And you provide constant updates. We get to see the game. You're showing it off at events. That's all we really need at the end of the day. If you're clear about that, you're showing us the game, that you're still working on the game. You don't say, oh, it's delayed, and you disappear for like 2 or 3 years. It's like, where the hell is your game after all this time? Like a lot of Kickstarter games I backed, by the way. Like, oh yeah, we'll see you. It's been like three fucking years. All right, Alexis.
They're still working.
All right. We're going to have a little fun right now.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you a few rapid fire questions of the spooky variety. Let's see. Where can we begin? Okay, so if you had to be trapped in a video game horror franchise universe, be it Silent Hill, Resident Evil, Fatal Frame, Clock Tower, anyone that comes to mind, Overblood, Rule of Rose, Haunting Ground, whatever you want to think of, and you had to be in one of them, like it was like a punishment from someplace, like you are now cursed to live out your life in this game
inside someone.
Which one would you pick?
Damn. Would I be myself, or
you're totally you.
Okay. I don't know. I think I should say Clock Tower because of the sentimental bond to it, but I really don't know. I really like the setting and mansion from Haunting Ground, and I would feel great there, because you have everything there, so it can be as well. I think I had to answer with Clock Tower because it's an obligation.
Would you survive if you were in that universe? Do you think you would survive? If you were Jennifer or Helen or Alyssa, how would you fare in Clock Tower?
I would take different decisions, because you have those games where you have to decide, I don't know, Nemesis appears in front of the RPD, and then you have to decide kill him or go inside, and maybe you can run, so right. I would say I would make different decisions, but I don't know if I would survive. Maybe I would. I go to the gym, so I think I can run.
Okay. Yeah,
so maybe that's
good.
Yeah.
If I were to cast you, if you were a character in a horror movie, would you be more of the final girl, that sort of, it's you against the main antagonist, the Freddy, the Jason, the Chucky? You're the hero of the story.
I think so. Yeah.
Wait, hold on. I'm gonna give you two more options. So would you be the final girl? Would you be the person that sort of dies in the third act in a heroic sense? Or would you be the person that dies in the first 10 minutes of the movie, like that hears a strange noise and the cat got out and you look for the cat?
You go out, yeah.
So who would you be in that scenario?
Okay,
what connects with you the most?
Okay, first, I wouldn't say I would be the first one dying, because I'm not that type of personality, So that's incorrect. Sorry. But then I really enjoy bad endings. I really like when something happens and goes on, and at the final scene everything changes, and I don't know. For example, you were trying to save someone, and then you understand that you weren't saving him, you were killing him or something like that. So I would really like to be at that moment where you know that all you did during the 2-hour length of the movie was bad. So I would go to the final girl.
Got it. Awesome. What scares you?
Well, I have something that really scares me, and
Tell me.
that it's not related to the horror content I create.
Of course.
I'm really scared of sharks. I'm really scared of the ocean. You know?
Really?
Yeah, exactly. For example, I used to have the PSVR, and I don't know if you play that cage that
Yeah,
puts
that's
you
yeah.
underwater.
Yeah.
Um, I I didn't even put on myself the PSVR with that game on, you know, because I can't stand that. I mean, I'm seriously, I can't be inside the ocean, for example. I
Uh-huh.
mean, not in the beach, because in the beach nothing happens, but I
Sure.
wouldn't be inside the ocean, even though there is nothing. I mean, I don't have to see a shark to be scared. I mean, no, I'm really scared of the ocean. But this comes because here in Argentina, you have a place called Temaiken, which is a sort of oceanic place with sharks
Mm-hmm.
and whales and everything. And my brother, the one we were talking about
Mm-hmm.
today, he went there with the school, you know, the sort of strip school.
Right.
And when he came back, he bought a few things from there, and he bought between those things there was a shark picture, because they used to sell the different species pictures, you know.
Sure,
And I
yeah.
remember that he bringing back a shark picture, and I was really, but I was beyond scared of that picture, and he knew that. So, for example, he would put that picture, I don't know, under my bed pillows, or anywhere I could see that picture, you know, and that I wouldn't expect to see that picture. So that was a sort of, that created a sort of phobia to me, to the sharks and the ocean and
But
everything.
but wait,
It's crazy.
you had the fear of sharks already before, like when he showed you the picture, was that when you first got your fear of sharks?
Yeah,
Or did
yeah.
you like
No,
watch Jaws or something and it didn't sit well with
no,
you?
no. It well, okay. No, I don't remember, to be honest, because as I told you, you are talking about shows and everything, and I came from a family that they wouldn't allow us to see
Right,
those
right,
type
right.
of movies.
Okay.
So maybe
Just
I
something
wouldn't.
about a picture of a
But
shark.
yeah, it changed my mind. You
Oh
know,
my
it
God.
created this phobia, and until
I
this day, I
think
cannot stand.
I think for your next project, after Madison sells like 1 million copies and it's a huge
Oh, I hope
success,
so.
and you have
I
like
hope so.
money to make other games after this, you should make a clock tower type game, but it's a shark is your scissor man and you're underwater and you're trying to hide from it.
Well, I wouldn't be that I wouldn't be that character, you know. About your last question about being inside the game, I wouldn't be that one.
Right.
No, it's no. I mean, it's crazy because maybe I'm not afraid of what typically people are afraid of.
Mhm.
Ghost. I don't know, the red demon from Insidious, or those
Yeah, yeah.
sort of faces that used to scare people normally.
Mhm.
I'm not afraid of that. I'm afraid of sharks. So
Sharks. I
it's
love it.
really crazy.
I love it. What is something that you've done that should have gotten you killed?
Okay, let me think.
This is always a fun question to ask people. I
Mm,
get some really funky answers out of this. Some stupid thing that was done when they were a kid.
I'm trying to think. Have you done something?
Oh, me? Well, I always
Yeah,
fell down all the time as a child. So I once fell like down. There's a driveway by my mom's house,
yeah.
and I was just like running across this really thin strip, narrow landing, and I fell over back
Oh,
down the stairwell.
so wow.
And we were actually going shopping, and then when I came back up, I had like all these cuts and bruises. But I have a scar right over here above my left eyebrow.
Oh, so it was really serious.
When I was running around once in my house as a kid, I
Oh,
just
another time.
I banged into a table and I was like blood everywhere.
Wow, wow. So it was a really big
Yeah,
wound.
yeah, it was huge. Well, you know, head
Well,
wounds are always bloody.
as I was, yeah, as I was listening to you, I remembered something.
Mm.
When I was a kid, here in Argentina, it was common to, I don't know, for example, all the neighborhood would go in a sort of bike trip So you all grab your bike and you know you go with the ones who organize this sort of event. You go with your dad and everything, and you go, you know, on the street. I mean, the bike, you ride the bike on the streets and everything, and you don't go that nearby. I mean, maybe you go, I don't know, 30 kilometers. I don't remember.
Right.
And I don't remember about this, but I remember because everyone talks about this. You know, you get what I mean. So. Yeah. They say, I will explain the story this way. They say that when they all stopped, I continued or something like that, and I crossed the avenue full of cars and everything, and I was around, I don't know, 6 years old.
Okay.
So maybe I would have been killed that time.
Oh my God.
But nothing happened.
Oh Lord.
Yeah, that was the last time they took me there.
Right. So, never again. What was the last horror game you played, or even movie you watched, that really made an impact on you or terrified you?
Wow, difficult question. I'm trying to remember what I have watched this year. I was really upset with the last James Wan film because I really hoped it was great, and for me it wasn't.
Oh, Malignant?
Yeah. Did you enjoy that movie?
Oh my God, that fucking movie. That's like, I don't know how much drugs he was on when he made that movie. I think
I don't know.
Cocaine is the co-author of that script because it's just so insane.
It's crazy because, you know, I thought it was the beginning of a new franchise.
But it has what I like to call, it's a good bad movie. It's bad in so many ways. You can extract some joy out of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that those movies that you turn off the TV, but I mean, I was expecting something different from him. So that's the worst part. But I don't know. Okay. I really enjoyed the Dimitrescu castle in Resident Evil 8. I would love to play the entire game inside the castle. Yes. I mean, I really didn't like the other parts of the game, to be 100% honest. But I do think that I really enjoyed being inside the castle and being in this different environment and in a different danger, because I'm a huge fan of those bosses that are always behind your back and blah blah blah, and you can't kill them. I don't know, Mr. X, Lady Dimitrescu, those, you know, Jack Baker. One of my favorite games is Resident Evil 7 until the part you kill Marguerite. After that, it's kind of everything goes in a different direction. But I really like being inside, you know, a house and being trapped in with something that you can kill. So I would say that I don't know if it counts as an answer, but I really liked the Resident Evil 7 and also the Dimitrescu castle in Resident Evil 8.
Yeah, it's like Resident Evil 7, they were doing so well that they were like, oh yeah, we can make an action game again for the last act.
And they did. And they actually did. Yeah. Oh, and by the way, my favorite ever movie is called The Skeleton Key. I don't know if you
Oh my God, yes, that's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a really good one.
Yeah, I mean, it was a huge source of inspiration to me as well. Well, I told you I really like bad endings. That movie is on the top of the bad endings.
That's Kate Hudson in that movie, right? She's the main lead, I think, in that movie. There's like Bayou voodoo stuff in that film.
Yeah. I'm really into that, you know, possessions, body exchanges and everything. Well, you'll see that in Madison as well. But
good God,
that movie had everything I really liked. So I really liked that movie. I was also very upset because they kind of clone or ripped off that movie to create Get Out.
It's the same exact concept.
I mean, it's the same movie. If you there's a video on YouTube that they explain why it is the same movie with another name. But The Skeleton Key is by far one of my favorite movies.
Right, but even that premise is what Child's Play is. Swapping your soul into a different body.
Well, Yeah, that's right.
That's all that
It's all the
movie
same.
is.
It's all the
But
same.
at least it has that same kind of that black magic voodoo sort of like undercurrent in
Yes.
Child's Play. Like that explains how that can happen in that film, and Skeleton Key as well. But it was like in Get Out, it was just some medical experiment,
Yeah, medical
mind
experience
control
that,
hypnosis
yeah,
thing.
I really was expecting to see a sort of remaster of the movie, so I was really into,
Right.
okay, there will be witchcraft and voodoo and everything, and then when it happened to be the medical,
Right.
situation, I was like, no, please end it right now.
You know
Yeah.
what you should watch? I'll recommend it to you. It was a film called Possessor. It's by David Cronenberg's son. When he's
I
famous for
haven't.
like The Fly and those kind of movies. But it has like that body swap thing, but it's not exactly horror. It's more like a thriller.
Oh, it's from the
suspense.
2020.
Yeah, it's a very
It's
recent film too.
Oh, it's a recent film.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll watch it. I haven't even heard about that one.
Yeah, I think.
But it has body swaps and everything. I will love it because that's my style.
It's not like supernatural in any way. It's very like technology based, but
Okay.
it has a really interesting story. It's not even like horror. It's just more of a thriller, and like the loss of the self is also like core theme in it. But I think you'll enjoy it.
It sounds interesting. Yeah,
I think you'll enjoy it.
I'll take it about it.
All right, what's the final thing I want to ask you? I was going to ask you if you were given a chance to work on a horror game, like a popular franchise, what would it be?
Clock Tower.
I think you would say Clock Tower.
Sure. Yeah.
So I think to sort of take that in mind that the answer is Clock Tower.
Yes.
Would you create a sequel to the original story following Scissorman, or would you do more of like what Clock Tower 2, 3, and Haunting Ground did? Do like your own tale within the universe, but with that same hide and seek mechanic?
Well, something we haven't talked about is that Madison doesn't feature hide and seek. So it's interesting because people think that they will be hiding, but they won't. I really like to face your fears, so in Madison you won't be hiding and seeing someone goes by. So I wouldn't say I would create an actual sequel or remaster in terms of the Scissors Man, because I think sometimes you have something great, and if you try to make it better, you probably are gonna suck at that. You have the Night Cry version of Clock Tower.
Oh my god!
It was created, but
the same guy.
Yeah.
And it was still a piece of shit.
Yes.
It boggles the mind.
It was crazy.
I think you should have made that more like how the PS1 game looked like, because that game, those graphics were just.
It was crazy. It was crazy, and it isn't that old, because if you say, okay, it's from 2005. I mean, Haunting Ground is way better looking than that.
Yeah,
game, so it's crazy. It's crazy. No, but I would go with the I would go with the creation or recreation or remaster or everything of the struggle within chapter 1. I think the second and the third chapter aren't needed to tell that story. I think you can create something great.
So you would use chapter 1 as like the basis of an entire game, flesh it out.
Yeah, if I can. If not, I would create my own.
No, I'm saying
spin-off.
if you were given the chance, like here, Alexis, here's a blank check, make us a Clock Tower game.
Well, it's something that I'm really looking forward to. If you get what I mean, I'm not famous. I haven't created another game in the past, but
when this podcast goes live, you're going to be so famous.
Okay, so I'll be able to do a remaster of that series. I'll take your word.
Right.
But seriously, I would really like to talk. I try to look at the creators of the spin-off, and everything dissolved. You don't have the studio, the publisher, they dissolved everything. So I couldn't find someone to talk about and say, hey, do you own these copyrights, or who is the owner of this spin-off? Because
right.
I mean, it's not Capcom, it's not anyone. I think it was Human Entertainment, but it has been dissolved
It was
a lot of
theirs.
years
I
ago.
think Capcom owns the Clock Tower IP now, because they did part 3, and
Yes.
Haunting Ground was like a spin-off of that same sort of gameplay, but
Mhm.
they officially do own the license, I think, for Clock Tower.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, no, so it's Capcom. I'm sorry, I wouldn't be able to do so.
You never know.
But
listen, Nintendo gives their stuff to indie devs sometimes. Konami's
well, that's
asking
right.
folks like, hey,
That's right.
go through our
But I
catalog
mean,
of stuff and make some games.
I think there is a lot of love to the feeling and the idea that I lived during that years, because I mean, even though if I want to create a game more similar to that style or everything, I don't really need to rely, on the idea of the struggle with him, because the story is not that great and everything. I mean, it was it blew my mind at that time, but I don't think I need to, to. Yeah, no, I can't.
Really can't get
But
over one
I
of the
don't think
worst games in that franchise.
It's
is what made you what you are today.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. No, I really think it's no, but I would like to create something that to be part of that universe. Yeah, I don't think I need to rely on that title, because it doesn't have that much. I mean, from one point, then you have the other chapter that you are facing zombies, zombies. So it's not it's not that.
Oh my god, it's like the most unclock tower thing. Let's have a hallway and you're just gunning down zombies for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, the final moment. Yeah, I couldn't even pass that part. It was really hard.
Oh boy. Well, thank you for joining us today, Alexis. This has been a lot of fun. I could talk to you about horror for like until I die, I feel. Okay. Let's talk about Haunted Ground for 5 hours. Let's go.
Let's go. Yeah, I have a lot to say about that game. When I have COVID this year, that I was feeling really bad and everything was happening, I played that game after, I don't know, 10 years, because you have those moments where you don't have anything to play and you want to play a game, but you just don't feel to play anything. Life. Okay.
I always play like I buy a bunch of games that are brand new, and I'm like, I want to play some PS1 games.
Yeah.
Tonight.
Yeah. No. Well, I hope that doesn't happen with Madison when it comes out.
Oh, of course not.
Hope so. No, but I played Haunting Ground, and I was really impressed, because it's still a great game. I mean, if you play Clock Tower or I don't know, Resident Evil 2 from the PS, it's slow-paced game, it's chunky, it's bugged, it's everything. And when I played Haunting Ground, it was like, okay, it can be a last year game, even though it's not that great looking, but the feeling is completely fresh. It's crazy.
Listen, if you play Haunting Ground on like a modern like PS2 emulator with like 4K 60 FPS, the game looks fucking gorgeous.
Looks really good.
It looks
I played
it holds on my PC,
really I have to say. I played it with an emulator that allowed me to retouch some visual things.
Yep.
But it was looking really, really great. It's crazy.
Especially, I would recommend going back and playing Silent Hill 3 on the emulator. I don't know what sort of sorcery they were using when they made games back then at Konami, but that game looks like it is so detailed and there's so much stuff going on in the background of that game. It's like, how was this a PlayStation 2 game? Okay, games today struggle to look as good as that did. And that was like 18 years ago, I feel.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy because maybe we remember and we don't count, the years that it has been since it was out. And well, you are now saying 20 years. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, listen, if you don't stop now, it's gonna be 20 years of us talking about horror games.
Oh so my God.
We're gonna have to sadly.
No, thank you so much for allowing me to be part of this. I mean, I was a little nervous because I'm not used to.
No, don't ruin it. You did fine.
Okay.
He is not nervous, and he speaks English very, very exceptionally well. A lot better than this dum-dum does. Well, thank you, Alexis, for coming on the show. The game looks incredible. It's out. January 7th on Steam. Are you
Yes.
gonna go to console at some point in the future after that, or just focus on the PC release for now?
No, we are launching the game on consoles. We were trying to end some contracts with a well-known publisher, but then I decided not to go with them because it was not a great deal for me, for us, because you know, when you're famous and you have power,
Yes, of course.
you think that the most important part is you, and the most important part of launching this game is Madison. So I will always stand by my game, and I decided not to go with them. But I have, you know, I have many other interested publishers, so I will be talking to them. But you know, since this happened, because it was, we were almost signing up and everything, but shit happened, and they were changing everything they said. So I said, hey, no, wait, I don't want to go with you. So I'm in sort of.
I'm gonna ask you after I'm done recording who that person was.
Okay. Okay.
Off the record, of course.
Okay.
Well,
yeah.
Thank you, Alexis. This has been
thank you so much. I really had fun, and it was really great to get to know you.
Yes. You feel like a sibling of mine. Like you were my younger sibling growing up. It's crazy.
To be honest, I didn't feel as I was talking to someone that didn't understand what I was saying, or didn't relate to what I was saying, you know. So it's really crazy to get to know someone that knows Clock Tower, and
it's funny,
share the same.
I have an older brother and a younger sister as well, so I'm the middle child.
Oh wow. Oh, yeah. Are you working on a video game right now?
Oh man, after this conversation, I want to. That's like, okay. All right, let's work on the game. Okay. But thank you so much for coming on. The game looks great. It's out January 7th, once again on Steam. Get it, everyone. It's gonna scare the shit out of you, guaranteed. Thank you, Alexis.
Okay.
Thank you, listeners.
Thank you so much.
Happy Halloween. Yes. And as always,